Final Fantasy X is one of the most popular JRPGs of all time, and my lord doesn't earn that spot. I'm not here to do a retrospective and such in this video, but instead just explain some parts of why I love this game and why it is my favorite game of all time. I want to say my story on how I even came across this game and how long it took for me to finish it. But years ago, I tried playing Final Fantasy X on my PlayStation when I was super young, like super duper young. And needless to say, I didn't finish the game because I didn't get half of what was happening, and because I hated random encounters, to the point where I would actually just run away on every single fight. However, I did get as far as the raid on home, and that's about it. Now, fast forward like 8 or 9 years later, and it's now the summer of 2025, and I traded a disc a long time ago for a game that I don't even remember, and I mostly forgot about it until I saw it on Steam, and where when it was on sale, and I always wondered, what was this game was, so I got it and I started playing. And wow, that changed my life's trajectory. I wasn't instantly hooked on it, and mostly I kept playing for like an hour or so and then called it a day. Because I remember I would just play it for that amount of time and then later immediately hop on Elder Scrolls 3 or 4. I forgot. I think it was 4. But I didn't even finish 4 at all. But yeah, other than that, I think for some reason around the Luca area, that's when I just started playing the game for hours at a time and I got hooked. I mean, the game just started having these twists and turns that kept making me want to play it. And so yeah, that's my story. But I never really fully explained why I love this game so much. And to be honest, I think it was just the overall experience that it just gave me. You mean, you ever had the feeling with a piece of media that reminds you why you like this type of pieces of media? Yeah. Final Fantasy X and Red Dead Redemption 2 and like 90% of the Resident Evil franchise gives me that feeling. Like I remember grinding for the celestial weapons as an attempt to prolong the ending of the game, and because of that, I spent 2 days just playing Blitzball, and that was my World Cup. So shout out Besaid Aurochs. Other than that, there was also the Titus Chocobo racing, which is honestly not that bad. And I like really not that bad. I see some posts online, some people grinding for like 75 hours. I don't know if it's exaggerated or not, but I see a lot of people struggling on that thing. It wasn't that bad. I remember getting it in like under an hour. That thing was pretty easy. That also reminds me of like what you call this? There was Kimari's grinding, which was like the woodland stuff. It's also not that bad. There's like a set path to it. All you gotta do is just remember where to go and how to go, where to move and this and that. So it wasn't that hard. I think the worst one when it comes to grinding for the celestial weapons was easily Lulu's. Because I don't know who designed that, but having to grind 200 thunder lightning bolts in dodges in a row is insane. And I did every I did every single one, and it took me a couple of minutes to try. But I remember just thinking that was really absurd, and that was possibly the worst celestial weapon in the entire game. Because I don't know about maybe it's the way I built Lulu, but in the end game anyway, Lulu just wasn't even that useful. Because like the black magic wasn't really that, you know, useful. Because I could practically out DPS everything. And you know what? That completely reminds me of this one time when I was actually playing the game and when I reached Xanarkand. I remember being so shocked about Waka because for some reason Waka just power crept through the entire party. Like I'm telling you, usually Oran is the highest DPS dealer in the entire game, as far as I remember. I mean, like the guy holds the biggest sword, so I'd assume he is the big, the DPS guy of the entire party. But when I went reached to Xanarkand, for some reason Waka was able to kill every single creature there in like 2 shots. And he was always consistently hitting 9,999 damage because I didn't actually unlock the limit yet. But other than that, I just remember being really, really shocked about that. And it was always like, why the hell is he even doing that? Or how is he even accomplishing that? I remember I looked over and then later I realized that, oh my gosh, turns out he just power crept through the entire party, and I remember just I don't know why that is just my only memory of Waka. But yeah, that's what happened with the gameplay. And also the spear grid was it's honestly a fun leveling up system. I think it's okay. It's not the worst, but it's not the best either, you know. I do remember some of the locks being, or making me think, if I should use it, the level 2 lock on this one, level 3 lock on that one. And that's just all I can say. I don't really have anything about it. And what else can I say about the gameplay? I mean, the gameplay had active active party switching. I think that is single-handedly like the best thing in almost every single Final Fantasy, or like not really the best thing, but more of just like one of the best, because the combat system in this game is just really, really fun. I remember trying to beat some of the hardest bosses with it, but I also had to like calculate it because you could see like the movements of the enemy, or like when you're gonna move, or when can you make this move, when can you make that move, and all that. And if you apply haste, you can do like another one. Like I remember this one memory I got actually. I just realized this right now. I'm actually kind of going off script, but whatever. I remember this moment where I think I forgot which boss it was. I don't know if it was a what you call those. I don't think it was a summon. I don't think it was any of that. But I remember this one boss where I realized that I think it was Titus, or I forgot. But what happened was that I kind of stun locked it to death because I'd let Titus like keep hitting it, and then later for some reason it would just allow me to keep hitting more. It came to the point where it just stun locked it to death, and it just died easily. I That was a good memory. I just remember that right now. So that was also pretty nice. But that was pretty neat too. What else can I say about this game? For the gameplay wise, well, the gameplay is also really great overall. I just love how strategic it can get, and how much it just gives you time to think, because the other Final Fantasy games, well, they do give you time to think, but they don't give they give like a finite amount, and well, Final Fantasy 10 kind of gives you an infinite amount, so you know it was a pretty nice one too. Although I do remember the only reason why I even started grinding for the celestial weapons was because I just couldn't actually do the entire thing of Sin, or like the entire fight of Sin. Like the first encounter, when you're in the airship and all that, I couldn't out DPS him. So then later I just started grinding for the celestial weapons. Wow, I just remembered all of that now. Anyways, other than gameplay aside, the story of Final Fantasy X is also one of my favorite things in the entire game. I love the characters of Final Fantasy X. This entire cast, I love them. Uh, each of their arcs were pretty memorable. I remember Wakka's arc, which was kind of being like the super religious fanatic follower guy, to sort of denying it too, and choosing his own path. I love that a lot. I also remember Lulu's arc, which was honestly kind of surprising because I see some people out there saying that Lulu doesn't really have an arc, but like, did we not encounter the Yojimbo fight, or the Yojimbo boss? Because I think that's what happened, or well, not really like an arc, but more of like story. Because Lulu's story is actually kind of pretty tragic. The fact that this isn't really her first pilgrimage, and her first pilgrimage died, and she kind of failed at that whole guardian thing. But either way, I think Lulu was a great character. I really liked her a lot. I also loved Kimari's story with like the Ronso thingy with the broken horn and all that. I think it was pretty cool. I like the Ronso stuff, but like at the same time, it just sucks that gameplay wise, he's just not the best. Like even as a blue mage, like just there's just no point to that. But I think overall, my favorite arc in the entire game, or my favorite character in all of Final Fantasy X, from off the mind, because I haven't really played the game in like a year. It has most definitely have to be Yuna. Yuna has to actually be like my favorite character in that game as of right now, because Her entire arc was so beautiful from start to finish, even from going to Final Fantasy X-2, especially in Final Fantasy X-2 actually. A lot of people like the dog in that game. I think it's a pretty good game, honestly. It's not the best game, but it's not the worst game. It's a pretty decent game, you know? But Yuna's arc in Final Fantasy X was so beautiful. I loved how she chose to like, or like she was expected to, fight Sin because of her father, but then later at that point she it's kind of just that was just gone, And on the end of the game, she didn't feel needed to do that. And then later, she also defied the entire religion of Yevon, I think it was. I think I'm mixing up 10-2 and 10, but either way, I loved Yuna's character arc, and that was amazing. It was so good. It was a very beautiful writing, and it's just characters like that that just makes me love Final Fantasy and this entire franchise. Um, what else can I say? I've for the past year actually, since I've played Final Fantasy X, I've been buried deep into the Final Fantasy rabbit hole. So forgive me why my memories are sort of foggy right now because other than Final Fantasy X, my second favorite Final Fantasy is actually 8. I'm replaying 8. So that's the reason why I can't really recall that much of Final Fantasy X. Other than that though, we have to talk about the ending. The ending of Final Fantasy X is, I think, a huge chunk of the reason why a lot of people like makes this remembers this game beloved or makes or remembers this game like really well, because if you really think about it, without 10-2, Final Fantasy X's ending is bittersweet as hell. It is the saddest thing ever. Oh my gosh, I'm about to cry again. The ending for Final Fantasy X, truly affected me in a way that I think no other game has ever affected me. Like it came to the point where I'll be watching the cutscene, the ending cutscene, and I'd cry, and then later I just listen to the ending theme of Final Fantasy X, because it's on Spotify or on YouTube or whatever, and I'd still cry from that. Like the ending of Final Fantasy X is such a heartbreaker. I don't want to like, spoil anyone from this experience, but Final Fantasy X's ending is really just like one of a kind, and it is so sad, but it's so beautiful that oh my gosh, like this game is just amazing. This game is just the best game that I have played personally. Um, you know, Afterwards when I finished the game, it took me a long time to get rid of that empty feeling of, a Final Fantasy game. Because I think around this time, I've spent around 50 hours to 100 hours just playing the game. And I actually haven't even finished it, like, fully. I didn't fight Penance, I think the guy's name is. The one with the 10 million super boss. I didn't fight the other guy. I fought Ultima Weapon and Omega Weapon, but I remember there's another one other than Penance. I didn't even fight them, so I'm excited to fight them in my next playthrough. And yeah, Final Fantasy X is just a beautiful game with beautiful scenery and such. Sorry that this video is kind of rushed because I'm just trying to get this as quick as I can just so, I get to release something for the 25th anniversary for Final Fantasy X, and I wish Square would give Spears some more love, cause maybe a 10-3 or a 10-0. I would love that. But yeah, thank you for listening to my story of why I love Final Fantasy X. And again, happy 25th anniversary Final Fantasy X. I love you beautiful game. The greatest game of all time. My favorite game of all time. Thank you so much for just existing. Yeah, that's it. See you guys. Hey guys, so I actually forgot to mention this. This is the outro. First of all, um, I'm going to actually replay Final Fantasy X very soon. Just hope you guys catch that. I'm deciding whether it'll be in YouTube or Twitch actually. I don't really know, but I will be streaming my replay of Final Fantasy X. So be sure to look out for that. And other than that, there's a lot of things that I missed in this game or in this video. So I'm gonna do like a re video, a remake of this video once I'm done with the replay. But that's it actually now. Now we're actually done. All right. Thank you for watching.